Congratulations on your new podcast, or even if you're still in the planning phase. Now that you have your podcast ready, it's now time to learn how to market it. With the number of podcasts out there, it's better to be ahead of them at the very beginning. You need to stand apart. This is part 4 and the last episode of how to create your own podcast series. Today, let's tackle how to market it. Welcome back. I'm John Vong and I'm the owner of Local SEO Search. Today, we're talking about marketing your podcast. When it comes to marketing your podcast, there are some similarities to regular marketing, but there are also unique things that we can only do for podcasts. If you haven't seen the first, second, and third part of the series, I'll link it all down in the description and in the eye. My first tip is for those who have yet to launch their podcast. Well, even if you've posted your first episode, launch more than one episode, 3 to 5 episodes. This will ensure that anyone who comes across your podcast from social media, your website, or any marketing effort that you will do will have enough episodes to binge. When people find something they usually like to dig deeper. So give them more content. This is a way for them to learn more about the things that you talk about in your podcast, your style, if you're fun to listen to, and loads more. Sometimes one episode is just not enough. Posting more episodes also gives you more resources to use for promotion, which is very vital during this time. The second tip, and the most obvious, share it on social media. There are more than 48 million podcast episodes and there are 4 billion active social media users in the world. What better place to market it to? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can even put clips on TikTok, the fastest growing social media platform in 2021. You can create posts and post them to your social media pages with a link to the complete episode. You can even convert your podcast from audio to video and then add it to YouTube. It's also quite common now to have a video version of your podcast on YouTube. Videos will always rank higher than audio. For that reason, podcasters are always finding ways to engage those who want to see rather than hear. I have a podcast where I interview successful business owners that I also record in video. I'll put a link in the description. Third, add value. Everything that we see online now is usually an ad or a promotion, and people don't like that. No one wants to see a feed filled with ads. I know we're talking about marketing your podcast, but before you post a whole episode without readable context, think about the reason why you started your podcast in the first place. If your podcast is about different business owners and their struggles towards success, then when you make social media posts, highlight the things that would relate to your audience. What are the major topics covered in that episode? The major learnings. Don't just put your guest's name and business. That space for description is a short but effective way to connect with your audience. Make sure you're telling them why they should listen to your podcast. If they are intrigued by what you wrote, then they'll no doubt click that link. The fourth tip is blogging. No matter what anyone else says, blogging is still a great way to learn and market. It's a great way to add value as well. You can have a podcast episode ready, and if you have an article in mind or one that you already posted, why not merge them together? If you have a blog about working from home and one of your podcast episode is connected to that, feel free to add a link. If you don't have a blog ready, make one that highlights the specific episode and then add a link to it. That way, you'd also be available for those people who like to read blogs and have yet ventured into your podcast. Maybe that would be their intro into it. The fifth is to transcribe your podcast. It may not be necessary, but if you have a website for your podcast, you should transcribe each episode so people can listen and read the transcript at the same time. It can also help with search engine optimization, content marketing, as well as video creation. People who are searching for key terms that you mention in your podcast will be able to find them thanks to the transcription. It also allows people to skim through the word to see if the podcast is of interest to them. 6. Add calls to action. If you ask, then you shall receive. I know people can hate this part, but it does work. I can say that I do this as well. Like, subscribe, hit that bell. Does that sound familiar? Every YouTuber does it for a reason. For your podcast, it can be asking your listeners to subscribe, check out your website, your show notes, leave a review, or even try a new product you're doing on an ad for. There are loads more, so never forget to put at least one call to action in every episode. 7th, add to Podcast Directories. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, TuneIn. There are a lot of places where you can share your podcast, and all you have to do is create an account, send them the RSS feed from your podcast hosting site. This is the most common way for people to discover your podcast, since the ones who already listen to podcasts are already there. People listen on different platforms, so make sure that you spread your podcast around as well. Don't limit your viewership to one platform. You'll get more visibility and gain more listeners. Once there, your page will automatically update itself once you post new episodes. 8 is podcast guesting. There are different types of podcasts, and one of them is the interview type. For example, if you're into SEO like me, you can reach out to podcasts that talk about SEO. Pick the ones that would resonate with you and ask if you can be a guest in one of their episodes. Start with smaller podcasts and raise your preference as time passes. This would sort of be like your practice. Don't forget to give value to the audience. This is the most important thing. Listeners will be able to see that you are good at what you're doing and respect your knowledge. You can request to have your social links and whatever you want to promote to the show notes of their episode. So you can promote your own podcast. You can even do interview swaps in order to provide more incentive to get on more shows. Let them guest on your podcast and provide value to your audience as well. The 9th way is to ask for reviews. Another way to gain new listeners is to ask your current ones to leave a review on Apple Podcasts, for instance. That way, when people look for a podcast to listen to next, they would see those reviews, and it would make them more inclined to listen. The more reviews you get, the more visibility you get. It also helps with ranking your podcast as well. Now, the last thing that I would like to share with you is podcast SEO. You might overlook SEO for podcasts because they are in audio form, but you have to remember everything that we talked about earlier. The description, the blogs, the show notes, the social media captions. We can apply SEO to all of those things. If you have a website, then fantastic. Imagine all the things you can optimize. It's just regular SEO, but this time it's for your podcast. I hope that I've motivated you to start your own podcast the right way. It certainly is newly popularized, but the potential that it has is great. Everyone is hopping on this podcast wagon, and you should too. But make sure that you have tools in place to market it correctly and grow your audience. Let me know if there's any tips I forgot. Leave them in the comments. Thank you for watching this episode. I'll see you in our next video. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and let's grow our podcast together.